Right.
Yep.
So this is Kate. This is Yildiray from My Turkish Home, and we're sitting with Pauline and David Lamont, who we've probably known now for probably getting on for 20 years. When did you first come out to Turkey?
It was the year before you were pregnant with your first one.
With Charlie.
Yeah, so that was 2004. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Crikey. So you were probably one of our earliest clients in that case. Just talk me through what the thought process was in terms of you coming out to Turkey, looking for a holiday home, looking for an investment. What was your thinking behind purchasing overseas?
Well, I suppose we had made a decision that we would like a holiday home. We looked at various places, and to be honest with you, at that stage, way back then, the entry level into Turkey was affordable for us. Some other places wouldn't have been, but Turkey was. We'd never been to Turkey. We'd never holidayed there. We'd never set foot in a place, but we decided we'll go to Turkey. So for some reason, and I don't know the answer to this, we ended up in Altinkum. I don't know why. Turkey's a big country. There's a lot of tourist spots. We ended up in Altinkum. So Pauline had done quite a bit of research before we went out to look at possible pitfalls, etc., etc. And we went out. We had booked to see houses with, from memory, I think it was 4 agents, of which yourselves were the second people that we met. We were staying in the Mutlu Hotel. We walked around Altinkum the day we arrived, and we just thought, yes, it was really nice, gorgeous beach, quaint little town, which grew quite a bit in our time there. It changed, even the infrastructure. Like, I remember when we got the bus from the airport to the hotel, the roads were just, they were horrendous. The trip from Bodrum to Altinkum was just, whereas now the infrastructure is fantastic, etc., etc. But we met the first agent, who was a nice enough chap, but he showed us around a few houses, but nothing really, nothing. We didn't really like anything that much. We then met Yildiray, and not wishing to wax lyrical about him too much, but I still say to this day, the day I met him in the hotel lobby, I said to Pauline that evening, I think we'll buy a house off this guy, because he just seemed to be trustworthy and honest. I'll not mention the actual area, seeing as this is going out live, but there was a particular area in Altinkum that the first agent had brought us to and tried very hard to get us to buy apartments in it. Yildiray drove straight past it and said, I'll not be bringing you down there, because I don't think that's the sort of place that you and Pauline want. And he certainly was right that we discovered that as time went on. But he just seemed to get straight away what we wanted and what we needed, and he found us our first apartment with himself and yourself, Kate, found us the first apartment, which we loved. We had good times in it. It was good for, unfortunately, the pool at the apartments never really developed, because the guy who built them, there was a few issues, I think. So the pool never really developed, but we were so close to the beach in Alibaba and Dolphin Square that it didn't really matter. And then I suppose we started to forge a kind of a friendship with yourselves. We didn't see each other every 15 minutes or whatever, but we just felt that we were dealing with people who we could trust, which is a big thing for me. Just a very small example, this house that we bought in France, Pauline mistakenly double booked it. The first day we went to see it, the agent showed us around, and we weren't going to buy the house at all. We liked the house, but we didn't trust him at all. The second girl that brought us to see it on the Monday was a young French girl, and she was just straight away, she just felt right, and she's looked after us ever since. So that's kind of been our experience. Then we got the opportunity afforded to us by yourselves to get in at the start with the Aegean Plaza, which unfortunately we never, we always said we never stayed in a single night in it. And we always
No, you
said,
didn't.
as you know, at the start, we kept it for when Jama and our friends came over and they used it because it was close to town and nightclubs and all those things. We always said that some night when we were in town, we would stay in it, but we never ever did. And then, of course, we found Yashil Camp, which was, to be honest with you, as I said during our previous conversation, we're not so far away. I really feel we would be still there. There were a few things happening in Turkey that we hear in the media over in Ireland, so whether they're all true or not is a different thing, but that was maybe one, because you said earlier on about bad experiences. I'm struggling to think of any. To be honest with you, you know, we enjoyed the country, we enjoyed the people. We met Sultan, we met Jalal, we met different other people who yourselves, who we would still regard as friends. We refer to you as friends when we're talking to people. It's not about, you know, they were agents in Turkey who sold us a house. It's not that way at all. So I suppose the two things that sort of brought our Turkish adventure to an end would be the distance, and a little bit of instability as regards where maybe the president's going to take the country. And I would stress that I'm saying that based on what we hear on the media here. That may or may not be the actual case in the country, but that did concern us a little bit. But our experience of Turkey and of My Turkish Home, and I will promote you if that's okay.
That's fine.
We bought 3 properties in Turkey. We actually owned every single one of them, which hasn't been the experience for everybody over the years. And we, as I say, bad experiences few and far between. The Altinkum town is great. Yashil Kent as an area was terrific. We had lovely neighbours all around us in Yashil Kent. We never ever craved or never wanted to. Some Irish / British people, when they go abroad, they want to be in complexes which is just completely crammed full of English people and Irish people, and they have their little groups and they do all their things. We never ever really wanted that. You know, we're quite private. We liked our own company. We wanted to go to Turkey and live amongst Turkish people primarily, as opposed to in some British / Irish resort. So our experience of the place, first class. Experience of your sales and your company was second to none.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, you say that the Turkish adventure came to an end. I think that it fulfilled the requirement for the best part of 15-20 years that you were actually there, and that's a long time, isn't it, to be committed to something, I think.
Yes, well, even when, like, I remember us way back, we were having a conversation. I think we were out for a meal, and the both of you advised us just to not think that necessarily that buying a property in Turkey was going to be some quick turnover and you were going to make lots of money and that type of thing. And we always maintained we were never really in it to make money. It wasn't a case of let's buy a property and we make money. That was never ever the intention. It was always a long-term thing. Certainly when we bought Yashil Kent, when we bought Zambak Villa, it just cemented our love for the place. It was never a case of, oh, we'll keep this for a few years and sell it, make some money, because it was all, probably everything we picked in Turkey, we picked with our heart, as opposed to some type of investment. And look, the markets in the world at the minute, what sort of an investment would you know, if you're just in it for the money, it's a very different thing, which wasn't the case for us. And yes, 15-16 years was a long commitment. And I would have to say now, whenever we went over with my Jeep to take some personal items out of the house, we both cried for a fair distance whenever we left, you know, because, well, as you say, we left 15 years of our life behind us. And I know at that stage we were retired and we only went over on maybe 2-3 week holidays, but we were lucky enough that we could do that 2, maybe 3 times a year. So, you know, it was a big wrench, I would have to say. But there comes a time in life that,
so what was it about having the property and spending so much time out there that you found particularly engaging? What was it that kept drawing you back?
A big part of it probably is the weather.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially coming from Ireland, you know, not that much sunshine and a lot of rain.
Mm-hmm.
So to go over there and be guaranteed, virtually guaranteed, your full 2-3 weeks of sunshine is just amazing. You know, because you work, David and I both work very hard during the week. We had the kids growing up, and life was tough. You know, so getting that break was just amazing, just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And I think we also found Turkish people in general, I include you in this, Kate, but Turkish people in general, we found we're very like what we are in Ireland. There's a family thing going on. Even I remember some of the times that Gemma used to go over. Like Gemma was a young girl, a pretty looking young girl. She was going over with her friends to a country full of quite attractive young men, and I had the worries and the fears that any father would have. And like I remember one time, the guy under who owned the restaurant down below in Alibaba, like he told me, he says, look, you be very sure that the guys who work in this bar go to those nightclubs and they'll look after your daughter. And you know, and they did, because Gemma actually at one stage phoned us and says, Dad's like, you know, will you stop telling everybody to look after us? But I wasn't telling anybody to look after them. So there was that family ethos that really existed, which I liked. The weather, yes, the weather was outstanding. Pauline would be more of a lover of the warm weather and the sun and one thing. I like it, but to lie on sunbathe and things wouldn't be my thing. But and the friends that yourselves, we met up with Sultan, right? You know, like Sultan went from being a girl who worked in a shop that
become a long friend
to be a friend for forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, just things like that. Our neighbours in Yashil Kent were, you know, like Umet and Faria and one thing were outstanding, lovely people. And we referred to them as Mr. and Mrs. Mustafa because we didn't know their second name, the couple who lived across the way from us. So I don't know, Kate, it just was. We had, you know, previously in Ireland, we'd been just being on package holidays, we'd been to here, there, and it was all right.
And it grabbed your heart.
But I
you
think it
on
did.
that beach, see the sea and the feel, the place.
It's like it's home, isn't it? It's like coming home every time.
It just got our heart at the very start. Now, when we first arrived, the young lads who worked outside the bars would have been they were very full on. They were very. That was back in the day when they would have walked over and sort of grabbed you and practically tried to drag you into the bar and things. Initially, that annoyed me a wee bit. But then as I got to know some of them and realized like they're just young lads out trying to earn some money. There was no harm in them. There was no malice or anything with it. It was just young lads doing their job type of thing. When we first arrived, when I used to get impatient about things weren't done too quick until Yildiray had a conversation with me one day at the back of the house and he just explained to me, look, you're in Turkey now.
Turkish time.
So I had came from an environment where you ring somebody or whatever and they just come, but it's slightly different out there, which probably became very much part of the charm as well, because it was much more laid back type of thing. And I'm not sure what else to say really, you know. So we certainly will be back. We have planned, you know, COVID has had a big impact on all of our lives. I'm still slightly dubious about an airplane full of people, but we definitely, if not this year, because we're getting quite a bit of work done here this year in this house. So if not this year, most definitely next year we go over and stay in Ryan's apartment.
It will be good to see you,
because we can't just never see any of our Turkish friends again, sort of thing. So we definitely will be back over.
So in terms of actually, you bought the 3 properties. That's 3 times you put yourself through that process of buying the properties. What was the what was your overall view? Was it an easy process? Was it smooth? Was it painful? Was it
To be honest, the first experience was not, it was not difficult. It was very easy. You've done everything for us. She's brought us up to the solicitors and everything was all done. It was the speed. If you have a look at any of the photos of me on the tapas, or the tapu, it just shows there was this speed. We were just inside 1 week. We had arrived, seen houses and bought our first property. So it was very scary. But having seen other people that have bought properties in Turkey and the problems that they had, and then knowing that we had, and within a matter of what, couple of months, we had a tapu. The property, it was ours. We knew it was ours. Everything was straightforward. The 2 purchases after that, she just went like a breeze. It was, you know, very, very smooth. It was just the speed of the first one that it just took us unaware, because yes, we went over to Turkey to buy something, but we only really went over to have a look and see what was there. We didn't expect everything to happen just as quick.
I think the frightening thing as well is because in the UK it can take sometimes weeks, if not months, for things to happen. So so yeah, we do hear that quite a lot, that the speed is sometimes a little bit
Overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming, yes. And I think particularly at that time, I mean, that was right back in 2004, and there weren't so many properties on the market, and it was done very quickly, because I think the demand at that time was actually quite
high.
It was pretty high. So properties were literally flying off the shelves. So yeah.
And the fact that you're only there for the week, so you have to get as much done, you know, signing and things like that. So
certainly back then it was a big deal for us. Like it was a huge, big outlay of money for us at that stage. But we went over there to do that, and as I say, you made it. The only painful bit was the amount of money that we had to give you. Apart from that, it was fine.
It still is, isn't it? It still is. That's great. Well, listen, thank you so much. I mean, you know, we will always be friends and we'll always have contact. And I appreciate that you are now living in France, or splitting your time between France and Northern Ireland. So we want to thank you for putting your trust in us all those years, and he's looking forward to the next 20 years of friendship.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to see you back, or maybe even visit you in France.
Well, you're more than welcome. If you're ever down that side of France, you make sure and let us know, because we have a 4-bedroom house here and there's plenty of room for everybody. So
well, we'll send the kids over and we'll have a holiday somewhere else.
They're all probably big now, the kids.
They are indeed.
They're growing up. They're growing up. Yeah, big times.
Is